Hey, good morning, guys.
Hi, sir. Good morning.
Very good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Very good morning. Okay. Hope we are doing well. So let's wait for a moment and then we'll continue our session. Almost 25 people have joined this session. So let's wait for a moment and then we'll continue with our next concept. Meanwhile, if you have done your recap or if you have any questions, you can put a note on that so that we can discuss on those queries. Okay. If you don't have, we can continue our session. And there is one more plan that I'm going to start from maybe from tomorrow or from the next Friday. Plan is something like whatever the concepts that we are going to discuss on that particular week, we'll have some kind of mock discussions on every Friday, because Saturday and Sunday we are going to we are taking off, right? So we are not having any sessions. If there are any sessions on Saturday, we will have this mock discussion on Saturday. So simply I can say week last day will be our mock discussion on the concepts what we have discussed in that particular week, so that everyone will be aware of what kind of interview questions that we are going to have, and what kind of questions that we have to prepare, and what is the what are the areas that we have to concentrate more while going through the concepts and all. We will discuss in that session. Okay, for now, in the last session we discussed about fish model. So in that fish model, we had a discussion on few different terminologies as well. So one is something like static testing approach, dynamic testing approach, how these are going to work in the real time. And apart from that, we discussed about walkthrough, inspection, peer review, author, reviewer, inspector. So who are going to perform which activity and all. Under this dynamic testing approach, we discussed about exhaustive testing and optimal testing, and we have discussed about some examples as well, how this exhaustive testing works and how this optimal testing works in the real time. And apart from that, we had some pictorial representation on fish model as well, which is what we are seeing on the screen now. So this is not the exact in the shape of fish, but still we are based on the feathers or wings that it is having at the end, and based on the entry point that it is having, we have concluded that this looks like a fish. So we are concluding this with the fish model. And top of that activity, on top of the fish model, the top row activities are something related to static testing approach, where we always concentrating on where we will be concentrating on the documents review, design review, how the prototypes has designed, and and how the document has been designed and all. And the bottom of that model has mentioned with the dynamic testing approach, where we are going to deal with the application functionality directly. Here, one more point that I want to add in today's session. The point is something like design review. Okay, so here static testing approach, we discussed that the documents can be reviewed, and the review in the sense like what kind of factors that we are going to consider, that we discussed. Like we are going to review all the requirements that we have, and we are going to analyze whether there is a conflict between the multiple requirements or how it will be, and we are going to check the spell mistakes, if any we need to update those things. All these factors we discussed, but we didn't discuss about the design review in that session. Design review, what is mean by design review? What is going to happen in the design phase? Prototypes or dummy screens will be developed. That means a screen without functionality. Whatever the backend technology might be, don't bother about that. It might be HTML, or it might be some basic scripting language or something, whatever it might be. Overall, the functional validations will not be available in that design phase, in the prototype designing phase. So whenever we are talking about the design review, so what kind of reviews that are going to happen in the design phase? Basically, you need to analyze what is the first step, what is the availability, what are all the things that are available in the design phase. So if so and so screen is available, what kind of reviews that we are going to perform? So design review is something like the prototype review. So the application functionality, where you can see, where you can visualize the picture, and you can see that picture as well. So, but the functionality will not be there. If you click on some button, it will not navigate to some other screen. If you click on some other, it will not navigate to some other screen. So only thing that you can see the page, how the page looks like, how the look and feel of the application will be. But in that, main concentration will be on the alignment and the spell mistakes. Suppose if you are accessing the application, if you are trying to understand how the application works, you cannot see the functionality, but you can see the UI of the application. You can see the UI of the application. UI means user interface of the application, how this color looks like, how the font size will be, do we have any spell mistakes, if any we need to update, and we need to intimate to the team. Okay, we need to intimate to the team saying saying we have spell mistake in so on so screen and we need to update that. So all this kind of information we need to pass to the development team. That's how we are going to discuss about design review. Any questions? Are you able to understand anything that you have in your mind for fish model? I'll give you a minute, recap this thing, and let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'll move to V model. Okay, we can move to V model now. So what is mean by V? Anyone? We already discussed about this point.
Verification and validation. Yeah.
Okay, what is verification and what is validation?
Mm.
We discussed about the example as well, right? If anyone remember, you even that is also fine for me.
OTP, sir.
OTP validation that we discussed. Yes. Any other inputs? If someone wants to tell, they can. No? Okay, fine. So V model means verification and validation model. That means in V model, all the activities that we are going to perform in V model, so both verification and validation is going to happen. But there is some slight difference between understanding of this V model, So what is that slight difference that we can consider? Okay, so let us have some pictorial representation so that you'll come to know how this V model works. I won't take much time, so I'll complete it in few seconds. Same like fish model, on the top of the activity it is having static testing approach, and at the bottom it is having dynamic testing approach and all, right? So in fish, in V model, it will be like this. Okay. This side, verification. And this side, validation. Okay, here. Requirements gathering. Requirements analysis. Design. Coding. Unit testing or component testing or module testing. Unit testing or component testing or module testing. Integration testing. System testing. Other testing activities, if any, like retesting or issue validation or everything will covered here. UAT. Production or go live or end user testing, whatever the names might be. So what you have observed here on the side of verification and validation, anyone? Anything that you observed specifically? It's a basic question, guys. If you can see the names thoroughly, you'll be able to understand what is the thing that we have added here. No inputs, no one. Sorry. Someone is saying, what is that? Okay, let me tell you. So verification is one side and validation is on another side. So what is going to happen in verification and what is going to happen in validation? So the extra new thing that we have added here under verification is unit
Collect
testing.
this.
What is that correctness? Verification is also called as correctness. So my question is what you have added to this particular list. That's what I'm saying. If you can see the names, you will be able to understand. Verification is also known as correctness is the right answer. That's an alternative term. But what are the activities when you are talking about the activities that you are going to perform in V model, this under this verification, what is the extra new thing that you can observe here? So then you have to compare it with fish model, right? So in fish model, we'll have only requirement gathering, analysis and design review only. But in V model, if you come to V model, we will have requirements gathering is are going to happen, requirement analysis is going to happen, design is going to happen. Along with these three reviews, whatever we are going to have, again, you have to remember review in the sense it's not it doesn't mean that V model is having one type of review, fish model is having one type of review. No, review means review. In any model, review is going to happen the same. Even if you want me to tell, there are few more factors which can be added to each and every model, but not like we are not going to verify it in a very simple format. There is no difference between, there will not be any difference between the reviews between each and every model. Remember this point. Review means review. In all the models, the activity what you are going to perform, the type of process that you are going to follow to review that documents is same. Like that in V model also, under this verification, the requirement gathering, requirement analysis, design, whatever the reviews that you are going to perform, whatever the documents that you are going to review, everything will be same. There is no difference in the kind of review that you are going to perform. But there are two extra things that we have added here. One is coding, second one is unit testing or component testing or module testing. So coding means the team who is going to develop or implement the application functionality. They are going to develop the UI or they are going to develop the application functionality. They are not going to simply work on the prototypes or something like that. So we will have the application functionality in place because of the coding. So what development team is going to perform. But after that, there is a activity called unit testing or component testing or module testing. Anyone have any idea on this?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
What is that? What is mean by unit testing? What is mean by component testing, and what is mean by module testing?
The testing which can done by the developers as unit and component and module testing.
Okay.
As coming to unit testing, it's checking the particular unit. It checks the particular unit for testing. As component, it can check all those things, all the modules. As module, it can check by step, as you said before, as 10 modules are completed to check the 10 modules.
Okay, let me correct your points. There are few points which I have to update in your explanation. One thing, unit testing. So you said the testing activity on that particular unit. What is meant by unit? First thing you have to understand. Component is, it's a kind of modules or group of things that you are going to test. Module in the sense a group of modules that you are going to test, but the words are similar, but we need to refine this explanation. Unit testing is nothing but it's a common thing. The testing activity performed by the development team is nothing but unit testing. Okay, that's a common that's a common definition for all the terms that I have mentioned here. So if you are going to test particular piece of code, I'm talking about in the development standpoint of view. You are not going to test the code here. Developer will test the code. Think about unit testing is specifically for the development team. Now the developer is going to test that piece of code. That means like some set of lines or some set of 10 lines or 20 lines. Development team is going to test that piece of code, means that particular unit testing is going to happen, which is nothing but unit testing. Component testing, so it might be a functional testing or specific to that functionality. Let's say developer 1 is implementing developer 1 is implementing 4 to 5 modules. One developer is being assigned with 4 to 5 modules. So each module contains different functionalities. Let's say module 1 is having 4 functionalities, module 2 4, module 3 4, module 4, like that we are having different functionality. In each and every module, whatever the functionality, whatever the particular component the development team is going to test, that is called component testing. Module testing means overall whatever the modules that developer has created or developer has designed, that's called module testing. And one more point you said, so module 1 module 2 combinedly we are going to test it. So that's a integration testing. If you integrate all the modules into a single unit and if you are going to test it, that's called integration testing. So we are not going to call specifically that as a module testing if you are having multiple modules there. So unit testing, whatever the activity, simple term that we can say is the testing activity performed by the development team is nothing but unit testing, or there is other term which is called white box testing. I will let you know, but still just remember the activity performed by the development team we can call. But if you want to define it specifically, unit testing is something like a piece of code. The testing, that verifying whether that piece of code is working properly or not, is nothing but unit testing. Component, it might be a group of functionality. Module, a group of sorry, it might be a functionality, is nothing but component. Group of functionality is nothing but a module testing. So this is how we are going to follow under verification process. Coming to validation process. Validation is something like the activity performed by the testing team. One small correction that you have to understand here, but still the diagrammatic representation presents you the correct information only. But still, whenever you are trying to understand, you have to analyze why I have mentioned integration testing under validation only, because basically this initial integration testing will be performed by the development team only. Initial integration, whether whether the integration between two or more modules has been happened perfectly or not. If that integration was not happened perfectly, then the application functionality will not work. So the initial testing of that integration, the initial integration testing activity will be performed by the development team only. But overall, when the application build has been given to the testing team for validation, the complete testing activity end to end, that means system testing and integration testing as well, that includes integration testing also, is being performed by the testing team. So that's the reason I have provided this integration testing under validation only. Correct? Any questions? Clear? Any questions? Clear? Any questions? Okay, we have some other types as well: integration testing, system testing, other testing activities like regression testing, retesting. We are going to have some kind of testing approaches that we can follow here as well. Dynamic testing approach and all. UAT, user acceptance testing, will be there. Production or go live will be there. End user can test the application. So validation is something like, if you can see this validation side, all the phases, all the steps what I have mentioned here is completely dealing with the UI part of the application functionality only. There is no concept of reviewing the documents here. Okay, if you want to test the application, you can make use of the documents, but you are not going to review the documents under validation. This document review and document verification is going to happen under verification phase only. Even in the real time also, the initial documentation and the document verification is going to happen at the initial stage of the project development, not at the testing phase. When you are testing the application, that complete documentation should be ready, like FRS document or whatever the requirement documents that we are going to have, that should be ready for testing. You are not going to review at the testing phase. in coming sessions, we are going to have in detail discussion on this unit testing, component testing, module testing, integration testing, system testing, and testing terminology, UAT testing. All these things we are going to have in detail explanation of each and every term that we have. Anyways, you already you are aware of this requirement gathering, analysis, designing, and coding phase, but rest of the testing terminologies we are going to discuss in detail about each and every term that we have here. Right? Any questions? Are we clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, defect life cycle. We'll move to the concept called defect life cycle. Let's start with our discussion which was happened earlier. Now you can explain me what is the difference between bug, defect, error, fault, and issue. Anyone?
The bug which are accepted by the developer, the defect which are accepted by the developer is called bug.
One second, let me list down. Defect, bug, error, issue, fault. Okay. So first let's start with defect. What is meant by defect?
Actual results to the expectations result is called defect.
No,
Expected.
actual result to the expected result. What is that? What we need to consider here?
Error found by
If
the user.
you are not going to tell this one, the deviation between, then there is no meaning of the remaining sentence. The deviation between expected result and actual result. Okay. Someone said the error raised by the user or someone. What is that? Can you please repeat that sentence?
Error found by the software.
User mistake, sir.
Is that defect that you are telling?
Yes, sir.
Error found by the, can you please repeat that statement? Error found by the user.
Software.
Tester.
No, we cannot consider that. Error found by the tester,
Is
error
called a
found in the software is called a defect. No. Why? Because we are not going to use that error term here in the defect here. So when we are defining error, we need to define error. Maybe when compared to this one, that might be a less priority. So that's the reason I'm not able to convince that particular statement. Sorry for that. If you have any examples or if you want to explain it more, that would be a great thing for me. But still, the original definition of defect is the deviation between expected result and actual result. You are expecting something to happen, but the actual thing is happening in the application is different. That means there is some deviation between your understanding and the actual thing happened in the application. That's called defect, we are saying. So defect is something like it's an assumption. It's an assumption where the QA team expectation is correct or the application behavior is correct, we don't know, but there is some deviation between the things which are happened between the expectation and the actual thing in the application. Based on that assumption, we are calling that as a defect. We are not yet finalized that this is a defect, this is a bug. We haven't finalized it. We are just raising, saying there is a deviation between the expectation and the actual thing happened in the application. Based on the confirmation from the project team, we can move forward with that particular defect. If it is a valid one, then they are going to consider it as bug. If it's not, that is going to get rejected, right? So what is the definition of bug?
The defect which are acceptable by the developer. Called bug.
And defects accepted by the dev team, or I can say project team. Error.
The
A
mistakes
mistake.
which are identified by the developers at the developing stage.
The mistakes identified by the dev team at the development stage while executing programs. Issue. Issue.
The end user can find any.
What is that? End user.
A problem is faced by the end user.
A problem.
With the
Faced by the end user. Or
No,
a
I didn't.
customer.
Can you please repeat it clearly? Your voice is breaking. I think.
Yes, sir. A problem is faced by the end user or customer. Sir.
Okay. Any other?
The problem which might affect the development process.
No.
while testing, we can find any mistakes is called an issue. Like application not working.
Application not working. Any other? Okay, I'll convince with the first point only.
Unit of work to accomplish an improvement in a system.
The defect raised by the customer or end user. Can you please repeat that? Someone is saying last point. What is that?
The unit of work to accomplish an improvement in a system.
No, that's not an issue. That's a different thing. The
Okay.
unit of work which is being accomplished means that that kind of work we are doing, it's a progress kind of thing. It's not the issue. What is fault?
When defects are reached to end user, then it is called failure software or fault.
No, that's failure or issue is same. That's the reason we mentioned it as defect raised by the customer or end user. When the simple example, if the defect reached to end user, what is going to happen? Even end user will also raise the same issue, right? Same defect, right?
A float makes any applications behave in a wrong manner.
A flaw in the application which can make. Okay, convincible. Any other? a flaw in the application which a flaw instead of application I can put a flaw in the program which makes the application behavior
Wrong manner.
wrong way. Here we need to mention deviating from customer requirements or expectations, right? Defect is nothing but the deviation between expected result and actual result. Bug is nothing but the defects accepted by the development team or project team. Whatever the defects that you have raised, if that defects are going to be accepted, if the defects are accepted by the development team or project team, then it's called bug. Error, the mistakes identified by the dev team at the development stage while executing the programs. That means that person should have basic programming language knowledge in order to understand how this program works and how the error has been figured out. Issue, the defect raised by the customer or end user. So maybe it can be convincible, but still whatever the point that I have mentioned is something related to the concept called issue. Okay, so the defect raised by the customer or end user is nothing but issue. What is meant by fault? A flaw in the program which makes the application behavior in a wrong way. So that means it might be a deviation from the customer expectations or customer requirements. These are the 5 definitions of each and every term that we have in defect format. So now we are in the concept of defect life cycle. In the interview point of view, you may get the question like this: what is the difference between defect, bug, error, issue, and fault? Or they'll ask you what is the difference between defect and bug, or they'll ask you what is the difference between defect, bug, error. Instead of issue, they'll ask you failure as well. So they can call this as a failure as well. Failure or fault.
Sir,
Yeah.
we can say the bill does not make the requirement is called as an issue.
The build has not
Bill does not make any requirement.
build does not make
Make
any.
any-
Yeah, yes, we can define that as well. We can use that as well.
Okay.
We can use that as well, because in the customer perspective, what instead of build we can say the release we can say, because build wise, okay, build is also a relatable word in agile if we can consider, but overall thing, yeah, we can consider that definition as well.
Okay.
Just repeat these things. I'll give you a minute, and after that we will continue defect life cycle. Okay, just repeat from your end, repeat it from your end, go through that 5 definitions, and then we will start with defect life cycle. Okay, we'll go to defect life cycle. So what is meant by defect life cycle? What is meant by that? The process of dealing with the defect or bug with different stages and statuses. So what are all the status that we have in defect life cycle? Anyone? Anyone? No idea about defect life cycle? Are you there? Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Then any idea about defect life cycle? Anyone? No idea at all?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
7 stages.
Okay, what are those phases that we have? Any idea about those status or something? Okay, let me tell you. Defect life cycle is nothing but the process of how to deal with the defect. Suppose if you have created a defect, so how to deal with the defect is nothing but the defect life cycle. How to deal with the defect is nothing but defect life cycle. There are different status which are available in defect life cycle. Those status will play a very important role when you are talking about defect life cycle. So what are those status and how it is impacting on your defect life cycle, how you need to consider those status and all, we will see it now. So there are a lot of pictorial representation. If you Google it, you'll get lot of information related to defect life cycle. So let me show you. I'll take one example from Google only, because there are multiple definitions. For time being, instead of designing that defect life cycle again, we can make use of the existing one. Why we need to go with the new thing? Defect life cycle. Okay. I think it's very, I hope, right? Are you able to see this image, what I have shared? At least give some response, guys.
Yes,
If
sir.
you're not able to, then okay,
Yes, sir.
fine. So defect life cycle. Defect life cycle is having few status which are going to be considered as a mandatory. As a QA person, as a testing team, as a person in the testing team, as a member in the testing team, it's a very basic query that basic thing that you need to have, basic knowledge that you need to have. So everyone will expect the basic thing as defect life cycle from you. So at least you should know how the defect life cycle works in the real time. Even as a fresher, it's very important that to understand what is defect life cycle or bug life cycle. Defect life cycle or bug life cycle. So there are different status which are available in defect life cycle. So how are we going to define that, and when are we going to apply these status? How are we going to do that? So before going to discuss about applying the status to that defect, we need to understand few points as well. What are those points? Suppose I'm going to list down the steps. As a testing team member, you will receive the build from dev team for application functionality testing. Okay, application functionality testing. If there are any defects in the application functionality, immediately test engineer has to raise a defect in where you are going to raise. So if you find out some defect in the application, so how are you going to explain this defect to development team? Are you going to explain them orally, or are you going to send out some Excel document or some email or some application? How are you going to convey that? Are you able to understand my question? Suppose if you have a defect in the application, so how are you going to convey that? Okay, let me ask you in this way. Suppose you purchased a product, okay, in online through Flipkart or Amazon or whatever it might be. You purchased a product. Once you received the product and you opened it, you saw some defect in the product. Some like it might be something like a damage, or it's not working as you expected, and it's not in the color expectation that you are having. So what you are going to do? What are the options that you are going to follow? Either you are going to do it as return or exchange, or else second thing will be,
Review it.
what is that review? You received a product. After receiving a product, you can't, what is the purpose of doing reviews here? Okay, you are going to provide your reviews. So if you provide your reviews, what is going to happen? They are going to apologize your statement, and they are going to reply to your comment. That's it. Nothing won't happen to your product again. So you'll have your damaged product with you. You'll not get the replacement, or you'll not get the money refunded to your account. It's a simple example. You purchased a product and it's a damaged good, and you want to talk to your customer care sorry, excuse me. You want to talk to your customer care executive. What will happen? You'll call to that customer care executive, and they're going to raise a ticket, and you'll get some ticket information, right? You're going to get some ticket ID. You're going to get some number, order ID or order number or ticket number. Once that replacement is done, once the amount is being refunded, what is going to happen? The ticket status will be updated to closed. Correct? Are you able to understand The same thing that you are going to follow in your real time as well. Is that fine? Are you getting my point? Hello.
Yes, sir, we are getting your point.
Yes.
sir. I'm getting
So, yep. So once you created a ticket, the ticket will be assigned to some resource. Once that issue is being resolved, you'll get the confirmation saying that the ticket is being closed. That means once the ticket is going to get created, where they are going to create a ticket, you'll not be able to see that. But as a QA team member, as a testing team member, you'll have some tracking tools in the real time. You'll have some defect management tools in the real time. What are those?
Jira tool.
Defect management tools or tracking tools, or now we can call it as test management tools as well. What are those? Jira. Next. Any other? Okay. Jira is one of the important tool that we have in the market, but apart from Jira, there are other tools as well. Those are TFS, ALM we have in olden days, and then we have Bugzilla, and then TestRail, and then Monday.com. So nowadays there are many more tools which are available in the market where you can track everything here, But in the real time market, almost all the companies are using Jira because it is more user friendly than other bug tracking or defect management tools which are available. So it is more user friendly and you'll be able to understand it very easily. The Jira can be understandable very easily, and the features which are in Jira, it is having more user friendly, and you'll be able to understand from which navigation to which navigation you can move forward at the screen level as well. Even they'll guide you how to update the status and everything. So that's the reason Jira is preferable than other defect management tools in the real-time market. So everyone knows the word called Jira, but still there are other tools which are available which you should know. So once you find out the defect in the application functionality, you cannot tell to the development team or respective team orally, or you cannot send out an email with only one defect. So there might be many more defects in the application. So how can you send out an email to each and every defect individually? We cannot, right? So that's the reason we will have some tracking tools which are nothing but Jira, TFS and all. So in Jira, we are going to write down the defect. What is the defect that we are going to have? Okay, so what is the defect that we are going to have? What is the summary of the defect? How you have tested this functionality? What are the steps to reproduce this particular defect? Everything that we are going to provide. So once you created the defect in Jira, the Jira ID will be created. After that Jira ID creation is done, then this defect will be assigned to the development team. Initially, when you create the defect, the status of the defect will be new. Once you the creation of the defect is done and Jira ID is being created and everything is done, you will be assigning this defect to the development team. So then the status will be changed to assigned. Once developer reviewed this defect and saying, yes, this is a defect and we are going to accept this, then the status will be changed to open. Actually, whenever we open the defect, before opening the defect, we need to take a decision whether we are going to reject the defect or whether we are going to defer it. Sorry, I have some background noise. Just give me a moment. 1 second.
Guys, may I know the register name 1 plus not 2?
Pradeep,
Your name?
Pradeep, ma'am.
Pradeep. Okay, please, all the candidates, please name yourself, not your mobiles, okay?
Okay, ma'am. My laptop is switch off, ma'am. Present. Same.
Okay, no issues if you are using your mobile phone, but we need to name the candidate, right? That is what.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Shall we continue? Jyoti, anything that you want to continue? Okay, fine. So once you created a defect, so the initial status of the defect will be new. After assigning the defect, the status will be updated to assigned. Once the defect is being assigned to development team, let's say you are from the testing team and I am the developer of that particular functionality. You created a defect and you assigned it to me. After assigning the defect to me, the status will be updated to assign. So I have to take a decision whether that is a valid defect or not, right? Whether I'm going to accept the defect or not. There are 3 steps that I'm going to follow here. One is after assigning the defect to development team, either they can reject it or they can open it or they can defer it. What is meant by rejected and what is meant by open and what is meant by deferred? Rejected means the defect what you have created is a not valid one, so that's the reason we are directly rejecting it. We are not going to fix this issue, fix this defect. Open means we are going to accept this defect, this is a valid one and we are going to fix it. Deferred means yes, it's a valid defect, but at this point of time right now we are not going to fix it. It can be fixed in future, not at this point of time. Maybe after few months or after few days we are going to take it, not at this point of time we are going to fix it. If the status is open, it's an active thing that development team is going to fix it. So once the defect is in open status, after the development team fixed it, the status will be updated to fixed. Once the defect is fixed, then we need to retest it. Testing team has to retest it, so the status will be updated to pending retest. Once the retest is done, we are going to update the status as retest and then verified. If the issue is fixed, then we are going to mark it as verified and closed. If the fix, even though after retesting, if the issue still exists, then we have to reopen it and we have to assign it to development team again. I want to show you one example. Sorry, I'm just deviating for a moment to show you how this works in the real time. Some different website report a safety problem. No, this is not the one. Let me go to defect creation in Jira. I'll just show you some image related thing because it's a licensed version. It's not It will not be available directly if you are creating a defect in Jira. If we have some trial version, we'll install that in future, not right now. Okay, let me tell you one live example meanwhile. Let's say, for example, you purchased a mobile. Okay, assume that you purchased a mobile in a showroom. When you purchased a mobile, what is the status of that mobile that you can tell? You just tell that you just tell to your friend saying that I bought a new phone. That means the status of your phone is new. The status of your phone is new. That the status of your mobile phone is new. Once you bought it, once you got the mobile to your hands, then that mobile will be assigned to you. Then that mobile will be assigned to you. Once that mobile is assigned to you, whether you are going to accept the features of that mobile or not is in your hands. If you are not going to accept the features, then immediately you are going to reject that. That means you are going to return back that mobile to the through the same portal, Amazon or Flipkart. Suppose even though you bought a mobile, you want to use it in future, then you mark it as a deferred. You mark it as a deferred. But you bought a mobile and you accepted it and you are using it continuously from right away, then it is called open. Once you open the mobile, you find out some defect. You find out some defect. What you can do? You are going to give that mobile back to the showroom, or you are returning back that mobile through wherever you purchased. So what is the purpose of giving back that mobile to that particular showroom again? To fix the issue whatever we have. To fix the issue whatever we have. If the issue is going to get fixed, then the status of that issue is fixed. If once the issue is fixed, then we need to retest it. You are going to retest whether that phone is working properly or not. Then we can call it as a pending retest. Then we can call it as a pending retest. Once after your testing is done, once you decided this particular feature, or once this application is working in your mobile, then you can say it as retest completed, verified and closed. When you retest that application is not working, again you revert it back to the showroom saying that whatever the fix that they have given is not working properly. But what is the way to create the defect in Jira? Let me show you some image. Okay. Once you open Jira, you'll have all the fields what you are seeing on the screen. One is project, issue type, summary, priority, due date, component, effective version, fixed version, assignee, environment. So out of this, project and issue type are going to auto populate. But if you want to change the issue type from bug or defect to some other terminology, you can change it. Project means whatever the project that is being assigned to you, that is going to display by default at the project field. Summary, you have to enter what is the issue, what is the defect that you are facing, you have to enter it manually. Priority and severity, I'll explain you later. And due date, you have to provide like by which date this issue has to be fixed. And components, this is related to your project again. Whatever the components that is being created by your delivery manager or project manager, you have to give that component. They'll let you know about this. Effective version, what is the application version and what is the fixed version? Let's say in version 1 you raise this issue, in version 2 the issue is being fixed, then you have to select those versions. Assignee, to whom you are going to assign this defect. Environment, in which environment you have tested it, whether it is testing environment or UAT environment, in which environment you have tested this. You need to provide the application URL, username and password, everything here. Once you enter all the details and click on create, the defect will be created, and one Jira ID will be assigned to this defect. That Jira ID will help you in order to track how this defect is being created and what is the status of this defect, and whether the development team accepted this defect or not, and what is the status of the defect after accepting this one, and whether this is fixed or not. Everything will be available after creation of the defect only. So that's how once you click on create button, this process will be initiated. This status will be initiated. And this is a mandatory interview point of view question. There are 31 people, right? 30, let's say 29. If you attend the interview, all the 29 members will have the same question. What is meant by defect life cycle or bug life cycle? Any questions?
No, sir.
Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Check along with the example and let me know if you have any questions. Review this point again, and which is very important. At least once in your daily activities, make sure you are going to repeat the defect life cycle. Make sure you are going to revise the concept of defect life cycle, which is very important for you to understand how this defect life cycle works in the real time. Okay. Next, any other questions? Okay, if you don't have, then we'll go with the concept called QA and QC. QA and QC. What is meant by QA and QC? Quality assurance and quality control. Quality assurance and quality control. What is meant by quality assurance and quality control? What is the difference between quality assurance and quality control? Let us talk about quality control first. Any inputs?
It can check after the development activities are completed, sir. It's in a
Quality
separate team.
assurance.
It can involve throughout the process to check while the application is working or while the application is developing.
Okay, 50% acceptable, but still, let me tell you, quality control. Quality control is nothing but the implementation of the process related to the quality improvement. So most of the quality control boards and quality control members are available in the manufacturing units instead of like software industry or IT industry. There are manufacturing companies or core companies or mechanical companies which are available in the market. So in those companies, quality control team will be available instead of quality assurance. What is this quality control board and what is this quality control team that they are going to perform? It's a process implementation on how to improve the quality of an application will be discussed by the quality control board. Even there is a process which is being followed right now. Even if they want to improve some process level, or even if they want to improve some things in the some steps in the process, the quality control board is the right team to suggest what is going to happen, what needs to be done in the quality, what needs to be done in the application or the quality control team. So whenever we are talking about quality control board, they are all talking about the process implementation only. They'll not talk about like how this application can be tested, how the device can be tested, how can we check the quality of the device. They're not going to discuss about the functionality or the device perspective. They'll always talk about how the process implementation can be done. What are all the documents? Let's say, if you want me to explain in the software point of view, this quality control board will check about the documents which are available. So what are the documents that we have to deliver as part of quality, and what kind of documents that we have to prepare, and what is the template that we have to follow, and what kind of improvements that we have to made in the documentation level. If we are going to use the template, what are the improvements that we can expect in the documentation standpoint of view, whether these documents are related to our software or not. So all these kind of implementation kind of process and everything will be driven by the quality control team. They'll always talk about the process only. Okay, this is the process. If we are going to work on this process, what are the next steps that we have to follow? All these kind of process oriented skills will be developed by the quality control team. Quality assurance team will talk about the functionality of the application, how much assurance that you can provide. Like, this application can be tested thoroughly, and we have tested it, and 100% of the application functionality is working properly, and there are no deviations as part of the customer expectations. As part of the customer expectations. Here we are dealing with the application instead of focusing on the process. Along with the process, we are dealing with the application. So we need to follow the process parallelly. We need to prioritize the application testing as well. So these two activities are going to happen in quality assurance team, whereas in quality control team, they are going to controlling the quality. Like, they'll talk about the budget, they'll talk about the time, they'll talk about the process, they'll talk about the documentation, they'll talk about the improvements required, they'll talk about the resources, everything. They're going to control everything related to the quality perspective. But in assurance team, we are assuring to the we are giving assurance to the customer, saying, okay, we are going to test this functionality and this will work like this, and 100% of this functionality has been tested, and all the cases are working, all the scenarios, the application functionality is working. Everything we are going to explain in the quality assurance standpoint of view. That's the difference between quality control and quality assurance. That's the reason we have QA team available in the real-time industry, and we have QC team also available in the real-time industry. Generally, in the software company, QC team is being aligned with like project manager or product manager or vice president of the quality team. So these are included in the quality control team. Quality assurance means general testing team, whoever it might be, like manager, test manager, or QA manager, lead, senior, and test engineer. All these guys are being involved in QA team. Process side implementation and all, they'll be under QC team. Understood? Any questions?
So explain one more.
Okay. Quality control. So quality control team is nothing. Quality control is nothing but controlling the process of the quality. So what is the process of the quality again? So whatever the application that you are having, whatever the devices that you are having, how are you going to test this particular device in a process format? So in this process, it includes documentation, resources, time, budget, estimations, everything related to the process only. They are not going to interact live with the application or with the device directly. They'll talk about only the process, how to improve the quality of an application. This is what they are doing in QC team. Whereas in quality assurance team, they are assuring the quality of an application. That means they are going to interact with the application and they are going to test the application and they are going to give the assurance on that application. So how are we going to give that assurance? By following the process given by the quality control team. That means as a QA team member, I should follow the complete process related to QA activities like creating the documents, creating the test cases, creating the scenarios, everything I have to follow. Along with that, we need to test the application. 2 activities for quality assurance, 1 activity for quality control. Right? Still any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, I want to move one step back to defect life cycle again in order to explain about priority and the terms called severity. Priority and severity. What is meant by priority and what is meant by severity? So you have seen in one of the image, right, while creating Jira, here you can see priority, right? So apart from priority, there is one more term called severity. What is meant by priority and what is meant by severity?
When application need urgent is called severity.
Sorry, can you please repeat that point again?
When the application need urgent to deliver is called severity.
Okay.
Chances to deliver the application in time.
Chances to deliver the application in time. Okay. Any other inputs?
How fast we need to fix a defect.
Okay. What is that, severity or priority? Okay, let me tell you. There are 2 terms called priority and severity in the defect point of view. So even this is also interview point of view question. What is meant by priority and what is meant by severity? Who will set the priority and who will set the severity? Okay. Priority will be given by customer or client or end user. Customer or client or end user will set the priority. Will be given by testing or QA team. So the person who tests the application, they are going to set the severity. But while creating the issue, generally you are going to see the term called priority only in the real time. But still, as per the principle, as per the standards, global standards, priority will be set by the client or customer or end user, and severity will be given by the testing team or QA team. What is the definition of severity and what is the definition of priority? Severity means when you raise a defect, what is the severity of the defect? What is the impact of that particular defect in the application? So severity means with because of this particular defect, I am not able to move forward in the application. I am not able to test the functionality in the application. I am not able to log in into the application. I am not able to test this particular exact scenario in the application. That means severity defines the impact of that particular defect in the application. So as testing team is completely aware of how the functional behavior of the application, they will decide the severity, how much severity that it is having. They will decide how much severity is having in that application. Priority based on the severity. Okay, severity is high because of this particular defect and we are not able to log into the application, then priority will also be high, right? If the application itself is not working, is the severity of an application, then how you are going to categorize the priority? Then priority is also high, priority is also critical. Without this fix, we will not be able to move forward. That's called the priority again, right? Are you able to getting my point? Okay, let's say for a simple example, I will tell you. There is a defect in your mobile, okay, where all the application, generally all your applications in your mobile are working, okay. There is one defect at the bottom of your screen in your mobile, where if you are going to touch in that place, it's not working, but rest of the activities you can do it as usual and you are able to do it. Okay, there is no impact of other areas in your mobile. So only if you touch that particular spot at the end of your mobile, then only you are having some issue, it's not working. Then is it high severity?
No, sir.
Is it high priority? No, obviously no, because if severity is completely zero, priority is also low only. If the application display itself is not working, right, your complete display itself is not working, but you have only one and only mobile, then is it what is the severity level for that?
It is high severity.
It is a high severity. It's not working at all. You are not able to see what is happening in the screen, and you are not able to pick up the calls. You are not able to access the application. You are not able to do any of the activity because of the display is not working. What is the priority at the time? Is it not? It's a high priority. It's a high priority. So like that, we have different combinations. High priority, high severity, high priority, high priority, low severity, low priority, high severity, low priority, low severity. There are 4 different combinations: high priority, high severity, high priority, low severity, low priority, high severity, low priority, low severity. High low combination. This is, interviewer may ask you this question. It's not a mandatory thing, but priority and severity is a mandatory important question in the interview point of view. Rest of the questions, it depends on your experience and it depends on the answers that you are going to provide. If you are going to tell each and every answer without having any doubts and all, if interviewer doesn't have anything to talk, then they'll come to the picture. Okay, can we discuss one example from this list? Okay, one example. I can say high priority, low severity. High priority, low severity. One example in your regular real-time live example. Everyone is having WhatsApp nowadays. Everyone is having WhatsApp. There are 31 people are there. 31 people are having WhatsApp. Even we can say few people may have 2 mobiles. We can say more than 31 only. Okay, so in that live example, high priority, low severity. What is high priority and low severity in WhatsApp mobile? Let me tell you a functionality. Based on that, we will decide. So I want to apply, or I want to update my profile picture in WhatsApp application. Okay, intentionally, that means as a user point of view, intentionally I want to put my wallpaper or I want to update my profile picture of my WhatsApp application. So if I'm doing that, when I'm uploading the image, it is not applying the profile picture. Still it is showing as blank, even though I uploaded it, even though I updated it, and even I am seeing that your profile has been updated successfully. All these things I'm seeing, but still I'm not able to see my profile picture. But still I'm not able to see that profile picture. What is this case? High priority, high severity, or high priority, low severity, or rest other? Do you understand my question? I am trying to update WhatsApp profile picture. When I am trying to update that, it is not updating. What is this case related to in this list?
It is high priority and low severity.
Why? You should have reason for that also, right?
Yes.
Why? Answer is correct. We'll accept that. But why?
As the customer is facing the issue, it should be priority for them as it high. If it not updated now, it can update a few minutes later. So it can be low priority severity.
No. So priority wise, we can accept the point what you said, but severity wise, you should remember the definition again. Severity will always talk about the impact areas in the application. Okay, because of not updating the profile picture, I'm not saying that rest of the functionality is not working. I'm able to chat, I'm able to go with the calls, I'm able to do the video calls, I'm able to do the voice calls, I'm able to send the pictures to other people. Everything is as usual. Only issue that I'm facing is I'm not able to see the updated profile picture. It's not impacting on the rest of the activities what I'm performing. I hope you understand my point. Right? So that's the reason we are saying it as a low severity. It's not impacting on the other areas of the application. It is only the issue what we have in that particular profile picture update only. High priority means user intentionally updating the profile picture. User is concentrating only on updating the profile picture here. Whatever user wants to perform, it's not happening in the application. That's the reason we are calling it as a high priority and low severity. Severity means how much it is impacting on the other areas of the application deals with the concept called severity. Remember this point. If it is impacting on other areas of the application, if it is impacting on whole application, then we can make it as a severity level. Okay, severity level always talk about how much impacting of that defect into this application. Priority means based on that, based on the user point of view, user is trying to update the profile picture. User point of view, that's an important thing. Where it is not updating, that's a high priority one. Right? Understood? Understood? Any questions? For rest of the things, it's your assignment. Get one example for each and every activity what we have there.
Sir, can I have an example? No, it's... Hello.
What example that you need?
Sir, when we are using the food apps, something like Suki, if the map shows in far away from our home, but the delivery boy came to home, what was the severity of severity?
It's a high severity only. It's a high severity because the user is deviating because of the wrong directions which we are having in the application. Right? User is near to your home. User is, how you come to know that delivery boy is near to your home? How would you know that?
We can see.
We can see means where you can see? in the map?
In front of our home.
Okay, you're talking in person. Fine. So then it's a low priority and high severity, because for that person, the user is navigating to somewhere else, but the person is in front of you only. So the application is misleading the user. The navigation to that particular user is completely a problem for that particular delivery boy. So that's one of the main reason it is impacting on the application, right? So as a delivery boy, he know your house address. So that's the reason he came to your house directly. But if someone wants to follow the maps only, whatever the map that it is showing, then what is going to happen?
It should be high severity.
It's a high severity only. Obviously, it's a high severity. So the map can navigate to some other place which can impact of that particular person. Commercially, it will impact, like there are fuel charges, time, everything will impact on that person, right?
Yes.
So that's one of the main reason whenever you are talking about this food delivery applications or something, obviously the severity level will be more only.
And taking the food is priority also for this, as customer point of view.
Customer point of view, having the food is priority. But you mentioned one example. The delivery boy in person came and he gave that food to you. In the customer point of view, the food has been received. Okay, in the customer point of view, the food has been received. But think about the application point of view, how that severity can be impacting on other delivery boys. So the map is navigating to some other place where that application behaves in some other different way. If some other delivery boy came into the picture, what is going to happen? That will impact huge on the application. So that's one of the main reason we are calling that as a high severity and low priority. If customer is not receiving the food, then we can call it as a high priority.
Okay.
Right? Understood?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I faced this question in last 2 months back as an interview. I was explaining the same point to him, but he was convincing me that it was wrong.
No, it's a high priority and it's a high severity.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So any other? See, think about logical impact of the explanation what you are going to give. So severity and priority, whenever you are explaining, it should be crystal clear, saying severity is nothing but how much impact that is going to be there in the application, or to the user point of view, how much impact it will be there. So if impact is more, the severity levels are more. If impact is less, the severity levels will be less. But priority also the same thing. So maybe this is not the right example, but still if you are trying to connect very easily, I just want to give you this example. A person who went to hospital. Okay, so the person is having some stomach pain, let's say some stomach pain. Okay, he went to doctor. So doctor gave some prescription with the list of medicine that that person has to take, that patient has to take. What is this case? Don't think about user point of view. Think about doctor point of view. I will let you know user point of view as well. In doctor point of view, it's a low priority and low severity, because doctor knows everything what is going to happen there to that patient, right? So that's one of the main reason it is not impacting the whole body of that patient. So doctor consider that as a low severity, and the priority of that case is also low. So that's the reason the doctor gave some medicines to that patient. Low priority and low severity. But as a patient, what will be the condition? That person don't know anything, right? What is happening in his body?
High priority and high severity.
High severity. As a yes. The user point of view, what is going to happen? Something is happening in my body. I don't know what is happening, so I need to consult some doctor and I have to get some big treatment and all to avoid this kind of risks and all. So user point of view, it might be high priority and high risk, but still the person who is having complete knowledge, they'll consider whether it is high priority or high severity or low priority or low severity. Now the same point, same example, we'll talk about in a different way. We'll talk about in a different way. The problem is a person met with some big accident and he went to emergency ward in the application. What will be the case? What will be the example that we can consider here? Both are high only. High priority, high severity. High priority, high severity. Now, doctor consider that case as a high priority case because the person met with some accident and he came to emergency ward, and they're going to consider that patient as a high priority and high severity. Okay, that patient undergone some surgery and now he is completely all right as per doctor's point of view. Now after the surgery the patient is all right, but the patient should be under observation for next 2 to 3 days. In the patient point of view, the severity level is still there. So in that case, the patient point of view, the severity is high. The doctor point of view, the severity is low. Low priority, high severity. Got the example? Understood?
As Dr. point of view, high priority, low severity.
No, doctor point of view, low priority because the surgery is completed. Doctor knows everything will set within next 1 week. Right? That case will be a low priority one. Got it? Still not.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the person undergone the surgery. If surgery is not completed, then both are high priority only. After that surgery, doctor knows that this patient can be recovered within a week, but he or she should be under the observation for the next 3 to 4 days in order to see the medication what they are going to have, because doctor knows everything. So this surgery has successfully completed. Within a week he or she is going to recover. In that case, the priority will be low for the doctor. No need to take care or no need to stand in front of that patient for 24 hours here, right? It can be a low priority, but user thinks that, okay, still I'm on bed and there are something which is going to happen in my body and the medication is still going on. It can be high severity. It can be a user point of view. So think logically how it is impacting on the application will consider as a severity. Even you can argue with the interviewer saying that this is not the case that we are talking about, high priority and high severity. No, I'm not going to accept this. Tell them very clearly, and you should be very confident when you attend the interview. I cannot say argue with them directly. I can say tell the point in a very confident manner, saying that no, this is the one which we are going to have. So this is the priority level and this is the severity level. Then that can be a convincible thing that I can say. Right?
Okay, sir.
Any other questions? Okay. If you don't have anything, I'm good to wind up this call for today. And in tomorrow's session, we are going to discuss about the terminology related to integration testing and the approaches that are there in integration testing, and few more points related to testing activities. So make sure you'll be prepared with the concept of integration testing in tomorrow's session. And if you have any queries from today's session, you can just let me know. We will discuss those things and then we'll move forward. Okay.
Sir, if interview asks the question like defect life cycle, what should be the answer?
You can tell the stages. So defect life cycle is something like the process of defining the life cycle of that defect what we are going to create. So there are few status and stages that are available in defect life cycle. So the status will be when we created defect. So the initial status will be new. Once we assign the defect to the development team, the status will be updated to assigned. Once the development team accept that defect, the status will be updated to open. So if the defect is going to be rejected, the status will be rejected. So like this, you can tell each and every status related point.
Okay.
So there is no other explanation that we have. You have the complete image in front of you, what we have discussed. That's the only base image that you can explain to the interviewer. Even if they ask you some example, you can tell some example. You can take some device and you can let them know the example. I purchased a product. This is a new product. Once I purchased it and once it is in my hands, it can be assigned to me. And once I opened it, the status will be opened. If it is having a defect, then I'll raise a defect to the development team and assign it back. All these things you can explain in the example format as well.
As coming to bug, sir, bug life cycle.
Both are same.
Yes.
Both are same. There is no other difference between bug life cycle and defect life cycle.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Fine, guys. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, sir.